Welcome to the second installment of Fix Gear Street Cred Explained. If you haven't seen part 1, I really recommend that you do so or else you won't know what I'm talking about in this video. In part 1, we went over the Primal branding framework to see who is part of the Fix Gear community and who isn't. In this video, we'll continue to explore the complexities of Fix Gear Street Cred, and I'll show you how you can increase your Street Cred and earn more arbitrarily awarded fixie points. In this video, I'll first explain what factors influence Fix Gear Street Cred, and secondly, I'll show you how you can increase your Street Cred through your build. Although Street Cred and fixie points are arbitrarily awarded and based on socially constructed standards, that doesn't mean that they don't matter. Your Street Cred and fixie points determine your social status in the fixed community, which in turn influences how much respect you get and permeates your interactions. The desire for high social status or Street Cred or fixie points or whatever you want to call it is a fundamental human condition, since having it is empowering and not having it is demoralizing. I didn't just make that up. That's what a study at UC Berkeley found out. Link in the description. Most times the desire for Street Cred occurs on a subconscious level. We don't always like to admit that we want to be looked up to be well regarded, and to be respected, because that implies that we care a lot about what other people think, which can be seen as a sign of weakness. But if we're being real here, we all care about what other people think about us, and we all like to feel more competent and more successful than other people. Street Cred is a tool that helps us determine who's part of the scene and who's just clueless. And it helps us determine where on the social hierarchy we fall. And if we don't like our position on the social hierarchy, we work to increase our Street Cred in two ways: through dominance and through prestige. Increasing Street Cred through dominance ranges from being physically superior to using aggression, although the more aggressive route isn't usually sustainable. If you're fast, you ride hard, you ride brakeless, and you can do tricks, you increase your Street Cred through dominance. Increasing Street Cred through prestige means that you have culturally valuable information, that people respect your opinion and come to you for advice because of your accomplishments. People who know their mechanics or the nuances of the subculture increase their Street Cred through prestige. People like bike shop owners, bike mechanics, and Sheldon Brown. May he rest in peace. Hopefully more peacefully than leader. One of the most effective ways to increase Street Cred is earning prestige through a display of dominance. The best way for that? Winning races. Winning races shows that you're faster than everyone and is a respectable accomplishment in itself. And at this point, you'll have Street Cred even if your bike is whack. But not everybody wants to put in the concerted effort that it takes to win races. So one of the more accessible routes to increase your Street Cred through prestige is by building your own proper bike. This shows that you have 1, mechanical knowledge, and 2, taste that aligns with the values of the subculture. The values reflected in builds are attempts to display dominance in hopes of increasing Street Cred. In reality, people just like to show off cool bikes because it makes them feel good. People are irrational when it comes to purchases, especially when it comes to emotionally charged items like bikes. My daily driver is my all-city nature boy, aka Ricky, that I built myself. Here in Taiwan, I've been riding this basic but functional loop pista, which costs about 1/3 of Ricky's price. And in all honesty, it meets my needs just about as well as my regular bike that costs 3 times as much. If, from a rational perspective, people don't need expensive builds, how do we justify making these purchases that, quite frankly, are pretty dumb? People, including myself, rationalize buying bling bike parts once we become bike snobs. We convince ourselves that we need all the components with the best stiffness to weight ratio, NJS or UCI velodrome certification, or framesets with tight wheelbases, short chainstays, and steep track-specific geometry. These bikes give Street Cred through dominance, since this is supposedly what makes a bike go fast. And if you can communicate that you're a fast rider by association with your fast bike, you get Street Cred without ever having to prove yourself. This is the quality ruse. People like to pretend that they need the best components to go fast and that they're aficionados of bikes. While this may be true to an extent, the primary reason we buy fancy components is that it satisfies our fundamental human condition of wanting to increase our social status. So what exactly determines which brands will give you Street Cred? It's not just pure price that influences a brand's Street Cred. It goes back to the Primal branding framework. The more solidified each of these elements are for the brand, the more Street Cred they'll give. For instance, the Chinelli Vigorelli steel frameset is very similar to the Bomb Track needle. Despite the fact that the Vig costs $20 less than the needle, the Vigorelli is likely to give more Street Cred because Yes, Chinelli has a creation story of Italian heritage. They have leaders riding their bikes, and they're active participants in the fixed gear community's rituals like the Red Hook Crit. Whereas Bombtrack, I think they're a German company. They might have sprouted up in the past 10 years or so, and I've never met anybody that's ridden one, let alone seen one in person. I personally like the Needle more than the Vigorelli, but Bombtrack just doesn't have the same brand image as Chinelli. The brand image that elicits emotion, drives purchases, and increases street cred. Price is still a huge factor when it comes to determining street cred, and certain brands that sell positional goods, that is stuff that a lot of people know how high the price is, become status brands and instantly increase your street cred. Think Chinelli Mash Frames, Phil Wood, anything, and Thompson, anything. People will claim that they have these components because of their stiffness, their strength, or their reliability, but the real reason for most people is that they like bling, because bling makes them feel important. You can also increase your street cred by having a taste for esoteric parts and liking things before they're cool. As long as the components have signs of being high quality, the price doesn't matter as much, since you can play up the esoteric nature of the components and thus imply exclusivity. For instance, yeah, that's my new bike. You've probably never heard of it though, since it's only available in Asia. Essentially, it's hipster flexing. Fixed gear street cred is proportional to how bling a component is, or also how esoteric a component is. Here's an illustration. This is the street cred bling curve. On the y-axis, we have street cred. On the x-axis, we have how bling a component is. And over at the other end is how esoteric that component is. And this is what the curve looks like. As you can see, the more bling a component is, the more street cred that you get. People know how much it costs, people know that it costs a lot, and it's hyped up a lot, so therefore you'll get more street cred. On the other end of the spectrum, you can see esoteric parts also give you a considerable amount of street cred. This is because you can play up how exclusive it is, and how cool it is, and how hipster you are. But as you can see, the maximum amount of street cred that you can get from esoteric parts is less than the maximum amount of street cred that you can get from bling components. This is because esoteric components lack those crucial primal branding elements, and people can only care so much about something they don't know about. This dip in the middle is the mid-range valley. With mid-range components, people know what they are, but they aren't expensive enough to be considered bling and be hyped up. And because people know what they are and know how much it costs, you can't play to its esoteric nature. Therefore, components in the mid-range valley give you very little street cred. People know how much it costs, and they know that you're not bling and you're not cool. In the event that your budget places you in the mid-range valley, you can still increase your street cred by extension. With street cred extension, you'll increase your social status by using status brands icons without ever having to actually own the product. This is most commonly seen in sticker bombing. You can have an okay bike that gives you very little street cred, but when you display an awareness of status icons through sticker bombing, your street cred goes up. Generally, aluminum frame sets get a lot of hype because they're stiffer and supposedly faster. But the real reason is that the thicker tubing is flashier and gives more real estate for sticker bombing and thus more upward mobility compared to a steel bike. Increasing street cred through your build is no different than other forms of conspicuous consumption, like plastering social media accounts of your adventure of drinking wine in France or driving the newest Tesla. It's all just buying social status behind the thin veil of being motivated by deeper values. Does it suck? Yeah. Does it work? Also, yeah. Am I guilty of it? You better believe it. If you want to dig deeper into the subject of the psychology of branding and you'd like to get into people's heads, do check out the affiliate link in the description where you can buy the book Primal Branding. And again, it helps out the channel, which I greatly appreciate. Here's the question of the day. What status bling items have you bought for your bike that you don't regret? Let me know in the comments. And if you've already ridden your bike today, why don't you reward yourself with another fixed gear video, such as what makes a bike proper. If you haven't ridden your bike yet today, stop watching me right now, close down your device, hop on your bike, and remember to stay reasonably dangerous.